I'm Ryan. Some people say raising the minimum wage is nothing more than charity.
I'm Ryan. Some say it's just not feasible. We'll discuss whether they are drunk or sober when we return.
You know, Betty White really is the greatest Golden Girl. Choosy parents choose Jif. He's so mean. He really is. Hey Ryan, are we out of partisan again?
Raising the minimum wage removes the desire to better yourself. Drunk or sober?
Might as well start again. Why not? Just round them all out, right?
I like it.
This is one of the dumbest things I've ever heard in my life. This is, like, seriously, if someone was like, I want to put as little thought as I can into something and then took more thought away, like, this overlooks everything that people are. This is, all right, let's get into it. Let's say the minimum wage was $2.25 an hour. Because at one point in time it was.
If you're a server in some parts of the country, it probably still is.
It still is.
Yeah.
But let's say it's only $2.25 an hour. And that was great, because remember when FDR started, things were a living wage, right? Mm-hmm. So good, right? So $2.25 an hour. And it's never raised. At this point, do you really think $2.25 an hour? You'd be like, oh, I don't know. No, you'd want to better yourself because there's not enough to live on.
Uh-huh.
And then what they're kind of talking about is like purchasing power versus dollar value. Okay, so obviously the purchasing power of $2.25 back then was way more. Mm-hmm. But that's kind of the purpose. Like if the minimum wage doesn't at least raise with inflation, then every single year it's less purchasing power, and that's really what people care about, is what you can do with it, if you can actually live on it, because dollar values don't matter unless the purchasing power matters. So like if you live in New York City, $10 an hour is horrible. Mm-hmm. If you live in Iowa, maybe it's fine. But the difference is purchasing power. Also, the idea that that minimum wage, that people would be satisfied, I think is also just stupid. Because you know what I want? I make more than minimum wage.
Okay.
But you know what I want?
More?
Yeah, I want more money. I want a raise.
Yeah.
And it's not because at one point I made more than minimum wage.
So if you were making $15 an hour, you would still want more? Is what you're saying as a human?
I would want more. Because people want more stuff. So people want to make more money. They want to be in better situations all the time. And at some point, let's say it is $15 an hour now, right? 10 years down the road, if you're still making $15 an hour, your purchasing power's gone down, and you want to do more. You want to do better. It's just a ridiculous argument that overlooks every single piece of humanity and human desire. It is one of the most vacuous statements that I have ever heard in my life.
Vacuous. Look it up.
Next round.
All right, so I'm glad you kind of tackled this a little bit differently than this. So I do think this is, we've had a couple of these. I didn't mention it on an earlier one, but it's like mean drunk. Like people are just getting mean drunk, belligerent people who hate other people when they get drunk. So this is one of those. I call this the problem with being poor.
Okay.
So if you're poor, we make a couple of assumptions. One is you're inherently lazy. Oh, well, because you're poor. And we've talked about that. And the other one is that we are better than you. So the idea that you should better yourself would mean to become like me. I'm better than you. You should better yourself to be like me. See? So that's the problem with being poor. Those are the two assumptions we make. Mm-hmm. And we've talked about that being minimum wage or even being poor requires hard work. Mm-hmm. I think it's crazy to think they need to better themselves, that a day's work isn't worth an actual day's wage. Huh. You know, that's good. That they should better themselves for that. That's nuttiness. I think that it's crazy that we actually think that we're better than they are when most of us fell backwards into this based on our intelligence or people we know. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't really matter. It's just how we look down at other people. Because again, we're selfish and self-congratulatory. Mm-hmm. But my favorite part of this is that there is the presumption that business owners, are keeping wages artificially low as a means to motivate people to better themselves.
That is good.
They're like, yeah, you know what? I'm going to give you $5 an hour, but I hope that you'll realize by doing that, I really want you to go to college.
I'm looking out for your best interest.
That's right.
Here.
This is me motivating you to go to college so you can leave the job I need you to do. So I can backfill you with somebody who doesn't know how to do the job. And I can only guess at whether or not they'll be good at it because, again, I only want reliable and committed people, which you are, but I'm trying to send you on your way.
Hopefully they're from high school.
Ideally from high school.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, if you didn't follow the connection, the idea is by giving them the raise that they won't want to leave the work anymore. Yeah.
Because if the only reason they wouldn't want that is if the job went away. They wouldn't want to keep you if the job went away. Or if you were crappy at your job.
Exactly. And the laziness factor I want to point out, in my opinion, you're far more likely to get fired quickly from a minimum wage job than from a white-collar office job.
Is that because there's a lot of people who can fill that job immediately?
There is. Yes, and it's very noticeable when you're not meeting the quota because typically it's rinse and repeat. That's what the job is. We want to see volume. It's a lot easier to hide your ineptitude and your incompetence at a white-collar office job. You can blame someone else. The volume isn't as clear a lot of the time. It's very soft in what you're expected to do and what that quality looks like.
It's like psychology versus math.
Yes, math. You know what the sum is going to be.
Yeah.
Psychology, it just feels right. So that's just it's just a crazy statement. It really is. This whole conversation is just about how we want to look down at other people and how we want to give ourselves a round of applause for succeeding in something we didn't really actually try to succeed at.
And judging our success based on how poorly other people do and how great we are in comparison.
Yes, absolutely. Last call.
I think that's all I've got for today, my friend.
All right, cheers.
Cheers.
As always, subscribe, watch, tell a friend.
Like us, leave a comment, because we'll answer a comment.
All right.
Until next time.
Cheers.
I think I might have one more Patsy.
That sounds good. All right.